Good afternoon. I'm Didier Trin, Government Affairs Director for Main Street Alliance, a national network of more than 30,000 small businesses that are active at the federal, state, and local levels. Main Street Alliance is proud to partner with AAPI Victory Fund and AAPI Victory Alliance to host today's event, especially as we kick off AAPI Heritage Month. I also want to take this opportunity to applaud the recent Senate passage of the Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Bill with overwhelmingly bipartisan support. We urge the House to take this bill up as soon as possible and send it to the President's desk to be signed into law. Asian-owned small businesses continue to face and suffer race-based harassment and vandalism around the country. We must stop AAPI hate once and for all. Over the past several years, Main Street Alliance has been working directly with small businesses to re-envision our economy, particularly the ways in which we can call for government to better support small businesses. Just yesterday, we launched a new report on the role of government that we encourage you to take a look at so that we can build the equitable, resilient, and thriving small business sector that will sustain our economy beyond this pandemic and better prepare us for future ones. To do so, we must invest in the public infrastructure necessary to sustain a vibrant small business economy by making capital available reliably, equitably, and efficiently, and providing a safety net for entrepreneurs, whether universal healthcare, childcare investments, and other ways that support our working families and make it easier to start and grow small businesses. Today, we will hear about these and other needed supports for small business. So with that, I'd like to introduce Shekhar Narasimhan, Chairman and Founder of the AAPI Victory Fund and Advisory Board Member of the AAPI Victory Alliance, who will introduce our keynote speaker. Shekhar is a business entrepreneur who brings organization to the AAPI voice, and collectively, we are very fortunate to have him engaged in the policy world to affect change for AAPI small businesses. Shekhar?
Well, thank you so much, Didier, and thank you and Main Street Alliance for helping us pull this together. Thank you clearly to our two business owners, and then I will shortly introduce Representative Chu. I just wanted to make two comments about AAPI Victory Fund and AAPI Victory Alliance, just so people position us correctly in the landscape. We are relatively new, 5 years old. And we got created for a very direct and simple purpose. AAPIs were not participating in the public arena anywhere near their potential or their numbers. We were underrepresented in state legislatures, in the federal legislatures, and in policy positions. And importantly, we were undervoting, which might have resulted in that underrepresentation. We have, in less than 5 years, not just due to our efforts, but the efforts of many, and with a little stimulus from a really negative anti-immigrant White House, mobilized a community, but we have also seen the backlash from that mobilization. So while AAPIs are now voting in record numbers, there's still a long way to go to get to that place where, I like to say that, and you will hear Representative Chu certainly talking about having a seat at the table. I feel like Representative Chu, we now need to be at the front of the table as well. They need to be listening to us. They need to be hearing us and what we can bring to the table. Now, in the midst of this, we've realized we lack good data. We lack surveys and polling. So we've taken our C4 affiliate, which is AAPI Victory Alliance, and taken this political momentum, if you will, and said we must build a serious think tank that really analyzes these political trends and puts data out that others can use. And we can start to see our fair share of investment in the efforts we're making and that our community needs to make to further ourselves. We have a very large number of AAPI businesses that work off sweat equity, family-owned, 5-person businesses, certainly with less than 20 employees. And not only have they failed in greater numbers due to this pandemic, no fault of theirs whatsoever, but they have also not been fully able to utilize the resources that, despite the best efforts that Representative Chu and others have made, have been put on the table. So I admire the work that Main Street Alliance and others are doing to make sure this message gets out, that there are resources and assistance available, but how we access it, how we use language skills, how we collaborate, and how we work with each other is so critical to rebuilding our business and family infrastructures. I look forward to working with you, Didier, and others to make sure this happens, and it happens at the local level where Ash and Dr. Tran work. Let me introduce someone who's our Shiro. We sometimes use terms like fearless leader because she's out front. And that means, by the way, that people will, try to put arrows in the back. So we're supposed to also help her avoid those. She was elected in July 2009 from the 27th Congressional District in California, which is in the Pasadena, San Gabriel Valley area. She has served and is serving on the House Ways and Means Committee. And for those that, if you don't know its function, let's just say it's quite powerful. And it's the place where a whole lot of issues around taxes, Social Security, Medicare are dealt with. But in her spare time, she also serves on the House Small Business Committee, which is where a lot of her passion is about what's happening with AAPI small businesses. And then for 10 years, she has led us and the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, CAPAC, which is now really remarkably, with even smaller numbers, but still grown to over 20 members, one of the three legs of the stool on which I think all of us in our coalition to improve the lives of all the advantaged, disadvantaged, and peoples of color, we stand together as a tri-caucus. So with all her accomplishments, let me just say, we admire her. We look forward to hearing from her today, but we also look forward to working with you in the future. Representative Chu.
Oh my goodness, what a wonderful introduction, Shekhar. I'm so honored to be a friend of yours. And hello, everybody. I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, member of the House Ways and Means Committee, House Small Business Committee, and chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, or what we call CAPAC. And I'm so happy to be with you all today for this important conversation on how we can rebuild our economy. This has been a truly difficult year for all of us, but AAPIs have had a particularly hard time. In addition to the spike in hate crimes, our communities are also experiencing disproportionately high infection and mortality rates from the coronavirus, and AAPI small businesses have struggled as well. Even before there were stay-at-home orders, misinformation and xenophobia from the coronavirus caused Asian-owned businesses to lose customers long before others. And that has contributed to higher than average rates of small business closures and long-term unemployment in our communities. That is why I fought so hard for things like the Paycheck Protection Program, which helped more businesses pay staff and other expenses with forgivable loans without them having to close their doors. And it's why I pushed the Small Business Administration to ensure that all resources were translated into other languages, including Asian languages, so that entrepreneurs who are not proficient in English could still access this aid. Still, I know there is more we need to do. And there is good news. As the president announced just last week, help is here. We've already doubled the goal of 100 million vaccines in the first 100 days. And with more being made available in every state, every day, I know that we are nearing the end of this crisis. And that means it's time to start preparing to reopen and rebuild our economy. That is why I was so thrilled to hear the president lay out his American Jobs Plan and American Families Plan. These are some of the most comprehensive and ambitious ideas to put more Americans to work and bolster our economy. As a member of the House Ways and Means and Small Business Committees, which has jurisdiction over many of these programs, I am very, very excited to get to work on them. And let me say, that I'm already excited because the American Rescue Plan, which already passed the House, provided for a lot of small business relief. And in fact, just yesterday, the Restaurant Revitalization Program opened its doors for business. I just wanted to let you all know, because so many AAPI businesses are restaurants, that you can apply for a grant to cover your losses from this past year through the American Rescue Plan and this Restaurant Revitalization Program. And also the American Rescue Plan also has community navigators, in fact, $100 million worth of them, to help small businesses get their way through all the SBA programs that could provide relief to AAPI small businesses. But let me say what the American Jobs Plan will do. It will include billions in investments to ensure that small businesses are not left behind in this historic overhaul of our country's infrastructure. The plan will make starting a business easier by creating a nationwide network of small business incubators and innovation hubs, helping inventors commercialize their technologies, expanding the Small Business Administration's existing capital access and investment programs like the 7A loan program, and ensuring that small firms are included in the federal contracting opportunities that will be a big part of our infrastructure investments. And by investing over $100 billion in nationwide broadband coverage, no small business will be forced to struggle just because they don't have access to high-speed, affordable broadband. Most importantly, the new infrastructure investments in this bill are good for business. When we build a new train station, that means more people, more commerce, more new storefronts, and more jobs. We've already seen that across the San Gabriel Valley, which I represent, with the expansion of a fixed rail system called the Gold Line. When movement gets easier and people have more money in their pockets, then all small businesses succeed. But let me say something about the care network that we need to increase. In addition to investing in businesses and infrastructure, the other thing we have to do is invest in workers and families. The pandemic has made it clear that we need better paid leave policies. Paid leave policies are good for small businesses because it helps them become more competitive in hiring and retaining good employees. For mothers specifically, paid leave has been shown to increase the likelihood that they will return to work after having a child. Yet for small employers, the financial burden of providing paid leave without government support is especially challenging. Establishing a federal program will allow more businesses to benefit, since they won't have to shoulder the entire cost on their own. Additionally, over 40% of parents are saying that they're struggling with balancing work from home, childcare, virtual school, and other caregiving obligations. Businesses may be opening, but with many schools still utilizing online or hybrid learning, parents can't go to work. In 2020, we saw more than 2.2 million women forced out of the US workforce. Employment for Asian women dipped by nearly 17% from March 2020 to April 2020, a staggering loss of 787,000 jobs that they have yet to fully recover. So if we want to get our economy going again, it's clear that access to paid leave and childcare is essential. That's why I'm excited to see these policies included in the American Families Plan and the American Jobs Plan. By providing a guaranteed 12 weeks of paid parental, family, and personal illness safety leave, families will have the opportunity to receive the care and support they need without fear of losing their source of income. And these plans help in other ways as well, including $200 billion for free, high-quality preschool to all 3- and 4-year-olds in the country. I'm proud to be a fighter for small businesses, and I know that also means fighting for the families who make small businesses work. As a member of the Ways and Means Committee, which is jurisdiction over paid leave policies. I've been calling for universal paid leave for years. And in fact, I'm proud to say that I voted for the very first paid leave policy 15 years ago in California. So it's been in existence for 15 years. And I can tell you, it works. That is the goal of the American Jobs Plan. And I'm so proud to work to make this goal a reality. So thank you again for inviting me. And I look forward to continuing these discussions on how to move the US forward.
Thank you so much, Representative Chu. I have a quick question, actually. And it's this delicate balance between the fear that Asian Americans have today with hate crimes and the gravitational pull and the amount of repetition that's taking place every day, an incident or more. Businesses, that are open and have fear as well, but at the same time, the concern about over-policing. In other words, the calls to just simply say, hey, we need more police because it'll help solve this problem versus a fear in our communities about policing at the same time as fear of these hate crimes. How do we think about this and balance this if you're a small business owner? And just your thoughts on it, because I think it's a touchy subject.
Well, thank you for that question, because yes, our community is so terribly impacted by these anti-Asian hate crimes. Right now, we have nearly 3,800 anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents that have been reported through the Stop AAPI Hate website, but it's probably an undercount because we have AAPI populations that are fearful of reporting, and plus many do not know that there are places to report. So we know that there are so many that at this point we're hearing about them on an almost daily basis. And as a result, there are AAPIs that are walking around saying, will I be next? And to be in that situation is just the most horrendous thing ever. Well, I can say that with regard to the police response, what we need is training. And that is what the No Hate Act will provide. The No Hate Act actually is contained with the Senate bill that passed out the previous week. The Senator Mazie Hirono and Congressmember Grace Meng bill called the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act bill. Actually, this is the combination of two bills. It's a combination of the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which provides for a person in the Department of Justice to track the prosecution of the hate crime so that they can be facilitated in a better way, and also provides for guidance on reporting of the hate crimes. But the No Hate Act will deal with a situation that has been going on in our country for decades. You see, in 1990, the FBI was mandated to report on hate crimes on an annual basis. But in reality, there were no resources given to the FBI. And there was no mandate on even the tracking of hate crimes. Consequently, they could only rely on the voluntary release of such statistics from local law enforcement. But did you know that out of the 15,000 local law enforcement agencies, only 15% ever report to the FBI? So clearly the FBI statistics are unreliable. But I give you that statistic to tell you that also it is quite likely that those multitude of local law enforcement agencies have no hate crime unit and also no training. So if they don't have the training on how to deal with a hate crime, then they're just going to go with their old tried and true methods, which is possibly shoot anybody on sight who's a person of color. I mean, it could be that bad, but if you actually have training, then you get training on how to engage the community, how to work with the community on reporting hate crimes, on making sure you listen to them and engage in preventive efforts as well as prosecute hate crimes. Sometimes that concept of prevention is not there in some of our local law enforcement agencies, but you could do that if you had hate crime training. Maybe in your hate crime training, you could actually teach about the AAPI community, because as we know, many in local law enforcement are ignorant about the diversity of our community and the fears that our communities may have. So I think the essence of it is training, and that's why I felt so strongly about the No Hate Act. It provides grants for local law enforcement to get a hate crime unit together and also have training on this issue.
Thank you so much, and continue to appreciate and want to support all the work that you're doing. Congresswoman Chu, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for gracing us with your presence. And let me hand it back to Didier.
Thank you so much, Representative Chu, to echo Shekhar's comments for those incredibly inspiring remarks. We very much appreciate you being a stalwart champion of paid leave in particular. And we know that your leadership on the Ways and Means Committee in particular will be crucial as we move both the proposal in the American Families Plan as well as Chairman Neal's new proposal, Building an Economy for Families Act, which I'm sure you're working on as well. There is clear momentum for universal paid leave. And now I'd like to introduce our next speakers. First is Dr. Thuy Tran, who is the owner of Rose City Vision Care in Portland, Oregon. Dr. Tran is also a member of the American Optometric Association and the Oregon Physician Association. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with her 3 children, Min, Oscar, and Vera, as well as fulfilling her duties as a traditional Air National Guardsman at the 142nd Fighter Wing Medical Group. Second, we will hear from Ash Mirchandani. Ash has more than 2 decades of experience in business, finance, marketing, and government. He's the former Deputy Director of the Nevada Department of Business and Industry, where he had oversight of numerous programs, including small business advocacy and development. Active in the community, Ash has been involved on many boards and committees related to social services, finance, education, and healthcare. He's also the founding president of the Asian Political Alliance and founding chairman of United Citizens Foundation. So first, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Tran to talk about her experience through COVID and what is needed for small business.
Representative Chu, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for your support of small businesses, and before, through, and now in the recovery period of the pandemic. Again, my name is Dr. Tran, and I own 2 eye clinics here in Portland, Oregon. My business has taken care of me and my family, and so I promise to work and hire and participate in my community so I can walk or jog to my 2 clinics. One of my clinics is in a strip mall where 4 out of 9 businesses are from AAPI, the AAPI community. So I can say that I represent my community very well. I'm very pleased today to talk about the importance of strengthening our nation's care infrastructure as an essential component for economic recovery. I want to share my personal story because my story is not unique. Other of my colleagues in the medical field and in the business field feel and experience the same way, and not only just the small business owner, but my employees, my staff, my team member experience the same. The US has given me a lot in allowing my family to allow me to go to college and optometry school and start a business. However, a week after I gave birth to my child, I had to go back to work. I haven't been in business long. I had no money saved. So I just couldn't afford not to work. Luckily, my mom was able to help. So in my small office, I would have a crib and she would sit there taking care of the baby. And in between patients, I would feed the baby. It was very stressful. And I don't know if you all noticed, but when a mom is under stress, it's harder to feed a child, make milk. And I can see that stress in a lot of my staff who are single moms, how they have to juggle family and work. Many of my staff have been chosen by their family to be the one that stay home with a mom or a dad when mom or dad has a stroke or is ill. And so they have to leave work. I've experienced that also. Small business just don't have the resources like big business to provide for extended pay leave. Pay leaves mean that when I or my employee needs to take leave, support is there. The pay leave program pays for me and my employee to be out on leave, freeing up the small business owner cash to hire substitute or to pay overtime, as well as to invest in the business as they see fit. For me, paid leave could mean the difference between keeping my business open or letting my staff go and not getting paid. Paid leave have been shown to have a positive return on investment for businesses and provide workers and family with economic security, helping workers stay on their job and attached to their benefits, and helping employers increase retention and productivity. While it can be hard for small business owner to have employee put on leave, what is harder and more disruptive is permanently losing talented employee and needing to take the expensive, long, disruptive job search followed by retraining. And as we've all seen, this is happening during the pandemic. I have one staff in particular. She was pregnant, her parents have a lot of comorbidity, and she's chosen not to come back to work. Building back from this pandemic requires a lot of support. If you have family support, great, but many don't. And we need to take care of all of our staff because they are risking their health, struggling to take care of the patient in my clinic, as well as their family. We all understand the need to invest in road, bridges, public transportation because they enable us to go to work. But who supports the people that builds the roads, the bridges, the public transportation? We must invest in caregiving for the same reason that we invest in any aspect of our economy to make it more productive and competitive. And I feel that it starts with the pay leave, because pay leave supports the people that makes all the other kind of business possible. A stronger care infrastructure is critical for entrepreneurship. Women of color in particular are a huge portion of entrepreneurship before the country went into the pandemic. And now with the care support, we can all go back to work. Paid leave has broad bipartisan support among public and small business owners. It doesn't cost small businesses to have paid leave. Oregon in 2019 passed a very progressive paid leave, and it's the employer and the employee that takes care of it. So it's not a burden. It's not a huge fiscal burden on our state at all. At the start of the pandemic, Congress passed the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, the first national paid leave program with overwhelming bipartisan support. This tax credit for small businesses have been a critical short-term relief, and has been extended through September this year, and is available retroactive for small business owner who provided paid leave for COVID-related medical care reasons in 2020. They are also now available for business owner to support employees to take time off to get vaccinated and to recover from vaccination. If you don't know yet about this program, please look into it. You can go to the IRS website or the Main Street Alliance Small Business for Paid Leave site. COVID has shown how fragile our infrastructure is. We need large-scale public investment in our care structure that makes all other work possible, including childcare, home, community-based supports, and paid family and medical leave to ensure that family can care for their loved one. Both the American Family Plan and the Building an Economy for Families Act lay out this bold vision whose time had come. Paid family and medical leave promotes a stronger economy, healthier families, and helps small businesses like mine thrive. It's win-win for everyone. It's especially good for small businesses, helping to level the playing field with big corporation in hiring and retaining talented employee, and giving small business owner like me a way to get medical care we need without jeopardizing our livelihood. Some in the business community are suggesting that fixing road or bridges must come first, and that care infrastructure can be addressed later. I'm here to state unequivocally that for small business like mine, care is not equal, if not more critical to our building a thriving and resilient economy. Congressman Chu, thank you for your support of paid family leave in the past. We need you more than ever. Care can't wait.
After our speakers have provided their remarks, but if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A function. And Ash, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Didier. Well, it's always nice to hear Representative Chu talk about Asians and what's being done to further our community and to be recognized. And it's always good to see Shekhar. I think the world of him and the work that he does for all Asians. I wanted to start with giving a little bit of a background on myself. I came into this country in 2002 with $180 in 4 bags. It was me and my wife. And I got into state employment. I rose through the ranks to be the Deputy Director for Business and Industry in Nevada. I also founded a nonprofit that does mental health therapy for kids in schools. And in 2015, I got into business and I created 6 or 7 startups, 6 startups. Out of the 6, 5 are doing really good. And we're doing excellent before the pandemic hit. But we are beginning to get back up. And so that is my background. So I have dabbled in policy, I've dabbled in politics, I've dabbled in the nonprofit world, I've dabbled in healthcare, I've dabbled in a restaurant, I've dabbled in a salon. So I have a wide, a number of things that I've done in my lifetime and here in the US in the last 20 years. I would like to start and try to give a different perspective to this. I'm going to talk about micro businesses. I think that's a very unique subset of a small business that is often ignored. 99.9% of all business in the US is small business. Let that sink in for a second. 99.9% of all business in the US is small business. They employ half of the workforce. In every 3 Asians, 2 are either employers or employees in a small business. So small business is very, very near and dear to the Asian community. But more so, it's the backbone of the economic engine in the US. I'm going to not talk about a regular small business, which has got 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 employees. I'm going to talk about a small business that constitutes the fabric of a country, that small shop where you have the family working it, and you have either no employees or you have 1 or 2 employees, and they are contributing to our economic growth. Those are the kind of business. They're very good at what they do, but they are not bookkeepers. They're not savvy. They don't know how to keep their finances. They don't know what the legal steps are. They don't follow the news as much as the others do. Every program that we have had before the start of this administration has been attuned to helping the small business, which has 40, 50, 100 employees. You need to have your tax return. You need to have your CPA do it. You need to have XYZ. I'm very, very happy that the Biden administration has taken a different approach and is more inclusive of the needs of the small business. I think programs like the Community Navigator are a step in the right direction, and we need to do a lot more of outreach to reach out to those micro businesses. So what can be done and what is being done? I think with the second round of PPP, we see a lot of focus on small business and micro business. That's very, very good. We also see that there is a community-driven approach where there's a desire to make outreach to these micro ventures and these micro businesses. That's also a great thing. I think programs like these draw focus into that segment which does not have a voice. It's an unsung and an unheard heroes and sheroes of our business community. So what can we do better? How can we take this further and help them? I think we need to be able to be nimble to the programs we create. We need to be able to tweak the programs as and when the issues arise. Like I would say the rescue plan is great. It goes deep and it goes wide, but I think there is an opportunity to get feedback and see how we can make it better. On the second thing, I think the Navigator program is very good, but we need to make sure that instead of a small business coming to us, how can we make an outreach to them and make sure that they are heard and they do participate in these programs. We need to make sure the underwriting guidelines that we have under these programs are more attuned to the micro business needs, and not just one size fits all does not work very well in the small business community. You have a business within the small business space which is organized, And then you have a business within the small business space, which is not organized. I think we should have plans for both of them. I cannot thank enough the Biden administration on how they have made that a part of their focus. And I think a focus like this and assistance like this will help our economy come out much more stronger on the other side, and it'll be more inclusive. And when it comes to small business, no other group stands to gain more than the Asian group, because like I said, of every 3 Asian, 2 of them either work in a small business or own one. So those are the thoughts that I have, myself being a small business and a micro business, and also having worked for the state in policy and in politics. And I heard briefly there was a discussion on healthcare, and I think it is important to add that one of the major need areas in the healthcare space is healthcare for children. I think the mental health need within our student population has never been higher. We used to have a need. We used to do about 400 sessions a week, and the demand now is at 1,200 sessions a week. So it's grown 3-fold during the pandemic. So that is one area where I think the administration is doing a very good job through SAMHSA and through other mental health agencies. There's a lot of funding coming to these states, and that is also a great thing that the Biden administration has recognized.
Thank you so much, Ash. I'll add one more fact to your list of factoids, which is that most people don't know the average size of a small business with employees in the United States is a payroll of 10. So squarely in the micro business realm. So many of our businesses are much smaller than people realize, and have unfortunately been left behind in terms of pandemic relief. So glad to see this administration focusing more on micro businesses and entrepreneurs who continue to need help. And I'd like to maybe start the question and answer session, remind everyone that they can drop their questions in the Q&A function. But maybe starting with you, Ash, where you left off, you had some very interesting and sensible ideas on the need to make these programs more agile and more responsive to the needs of small businesses. And you mentioned a feedback loop. Can you say a little bit more about what that would look like? And are you suggesting that there should be more direct engagement with small business owners?
So I'll give you a real life example that came up yesterday. So as you know, a part of the restaurant revitalization program, you have to say what your sales was before the pandemic. Then you got to put what your sales was last year, which is during the pandemic, and how much of PPP money you got. So you add what you got, what was the sale last year with the PPP money you got, and you minus with the sale before the pandemic, and you come up with what was your shortfall. Well, there is a glitch. Let's say a person owns a corporation, and within that corporation, they have 3 or 4 different ventures, right? And so the PPP fund was not just for the restaurant, it was for different ventures. But the restaurant revitalization program counts that entire PPP as a part of the restaurant income. So So things like that, they are small fixes. They can be fixed, but those issues need to go up the chain to the SBA rather quickly so that they can come up with these fixes. And an issue like this is not just one business. You know, it will affect a lot of the ventures, and the sooner they find out what the issue is, the sooner it can be fixed. See, a program's success lies in how well is the information flow. If the information from top down and bottom up doesn't flow fast, then the program fails, or the program doesn't do justice to its intent. So the SBA should have a feedback a program as well, a feedback line where these kind of bottlenecks can be easily addressed.
I think that's a very good and thoughtful suggestion. Turning back over to Dr. Tran, you earlier provided a very strong case as to why paid leave is so essential for small businesses. What should a national paid family and medical leave program include to be truly effective?
With respect to the AAPI community, family is very important to us. In the family and medical leave law that was passed in Oregon, the definition of your family, it's not just immediate family, you, your spouse, and your children, but it is who you define as your family. That is very important. If you are the caregiver for your grandma, she is your family, your sister, your brother. So inclusiveness in definition is very important. In Oregon, there was much controversy on how much it's going to cost the employee as well as the employer. But together, collectively in Oregon, the cost outlay is only 1%. And if the small business, micro business has difficulty with its portion, there are grants available. And so the specific is being worked out. So whatever our federal government comes up with, it has to be flexible and it has to enable the person, the employee to take care of themselves as well as their family. And during this COVID, where family pandemic, where families are separated, elders are passing away in hospital beds by themselves and can only see their family through Zoom and FaceTime. It's very important that who you define as your family is your choice, and that you should not have to worry about costs at all. All the other factor can be worked out, but just think about as the power that be, the congressman that is working on this, figure it out. It's that place themselves in that person's shoes. What if it's your grandmother, your sister, who you define as your family? How would you like to be treated? What will give you a short respite, a peace of mind to take care of yourself and your family? Because then you can come back and work as hard as you can and build the economy, build up the US again. But we got to take care of the people. That is the foundation of our economy, the people that owns and work in small businesses.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tran. And I would just underscore what you said by reminding everyone that paid leave and caregiving is a nonpartisan issue that has overwhelming support at the grassroots level among the general public. And so we hope that given the challenges and difficulties small businesses and frankly families across the country have faced with paid leave and childcare, that Congress will seize on this moment to finally pass a universal paid leave program. I don't see any questions at the moment, so we only have a few minutes left. I'd like to give both you, Ash, and Dr. Tran an opportunity to add any other final comments before we wrap up.
Thank you. Thank you. I think panels like these are very, very important because this is our chance to organize and share our thoughts and be able to send those thoughts to our representatives. And I think we should encourage all Asians to partake in politics and in policy making, because there's a saying, you know, if you're not at the table, you're possibly on the menu. So we need to partake. We need to, you know, here's the thing about us Asians, you know, we contribute so much to this country. We're the lowest social burden. We are amongst the highest taxpayers. You know, we are professionals. We are doctors. We are engineers. We are XYZ. We are in the medical profession. We are in science. We are in NASA. We are in XYZ. We contribute so much to this country. And in the process, we do so much, we do so well for ourselves. We have great family values. We are the model American citizens. If we can do so much for ourselves, we should also consider doing it for our country. This is our country. This is where we'll grow, our kids will grow, our grandkids will grow. We have to give back. We have to partake in the process. We can't just live in our shells and expect change to happen. You know, if we are so effective in having a good life, we can contribute a lot to our civic duties by conducting our civic duties, and to the politicians of the world, the politicians of this country. They should recognize that, and they should embrace us, and they should bring us to the table. Because if we can do so much of good to ourselves, why can't we extend that to doing good for this country? So I would like the Asian community to engage and be engaged. You know, we need to engage ourselves, but we also need to be engaged by the politicians.
Thank you for those wise words, Ash. Dr. Tran?
Thank you, Dieter and Shekar, for organizing today's event. I really appreciate that you are advocating for AAPI, especially AAPI and the general population of small businesses. Last year in March and April, I had to close my office because of declaration of emergency, right? Because I am 1 foot away from my patient. So that was high risk. And I am very willing to obey for the common good, but taking care of citizens so that they can participate and keep everyone safe is very important. Right now in many areas, particularly Oregon, Metro, Oregon, Monoma County, small businesses, especially restaurants, are hurting because they can't have indoor seating, and there's all these rules in place. And yes, it is to help prevent the spread of the virus. Yes, but please help them survive because they are our neighbors. They're part of the community. Advocating for small businesses is greatly appreciated. And I am grateful that you don't forget the little guys like me, and that we have you representing us in DC at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to close by letting everyone know that we did include links in the chat to the Small Business for Paid Leave site, as well as the Role of Government report that Main Street Alliance just released yesterday. On behalf of Main Street Alliance, thank you again to Representative Chu, Dr. Thuy Tran, Ash Mirchandani, as well as our friend and partner for today's event, AAPI Victory Fund and AAPI Victory Alliance. We very much look forward to seeing the legislative package come together in Congress on the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan in the weeks ahead, and hope that you will take action to help us move key pieces that were discussed today. Again, thanks to all of you for joining us. Have a great day.